He targets someone because of their freedom of speech.
He's like the big man on campus, literally whizzing bullets over children and families' heads, talking about getting an erection and feeling powerful for the first time in his life.
It's not just murder, it's aggravated murder.
There's something wrong with his brain.
All criminals think they're the smartest one in the room and they're not going to get caught. He planned it, he concealed it, then he covered it up afterwards. That's evidence of guilty conscience. He clearly knew what he did was wrong. Dr. Bethany Marshall, how will this affect the parents going forward, knowing they turned their son in?
You know, Joe Scott Morgan and I were talking on the break, and that sound where he has the $32,000 scholarship, do you notice that his affect is very flat? He doesn't seem excited.
Yes, I did.
So it's the mother that goes, woo, and then he kind of mimics the woo in a less sharp tone or less elevated tone. So I'm going to guess that this mother has a long history of trying to pump her son up to act normal in society. So when she sees this image of him, I don't think it's as much of a shock as you and I might think. I would guess, you know how parents know their children, that they've always known something is wrong and they're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. She sees the image, it's confirmed. She calls dad. Reality meets internal fearfulness. And now she's the one who has to turn him in. Maternal guilt, Nancy. She's going to feel maternal guilt, not only that she turned him in, but that she gave birth to somebody who could have done this. And she'll blame herself for having raised him in the wrong way. Although we know these kinds of disorders are very biologically based. It is not the parent's fault.
Okay, I understood about 50% of what you said. Okay, I think what you said is the mother has likely spent her whole life trying to present to the world and to herself that her son is normal. And I don't mean that he's mentally insane, because he clearly knew what he did was wrong. He planned it, he concealed it, then he covered it up afterwards. That's evidence of guilty conscience. He knew it was wrong. But mom compensating, saying, look, he won a scholarship. He's so smart. Look, this, he, is a Boy Scout. Look, he sings in the choir. He's awesome. He cuts the grass. I love him. He's wonderful. All the while knowing something is off. That's a lifetime of compensating, Dr. Bethany.
Yes, this mother has her own lifetime sentence. And I obviously I haven't met this guy. I don't know if he's a sociopath, but let's say theoretically, if he was, the mother would likely have noticed many things.
Look, Bethany, look at your screen. Look at your screen. I grew up on a red dirt road, as everybody knows. And I always wonder, I look at people with like a 6-bedroom home worth over $500,000. They're all going to college. They have great jobs. What's not to be happy about? I don't get it, Dr. Bethany. Maybe I've set the standard too low. But, I got a family, I've got a home, I've got a job. For right now, we're all healthy. I'm on top of the world. I don't get it, Bethany.
But we know that this guy was supremely unhappy. He was so unhappy, he couldn't even follow through with a scholarship. So unhappy that he can't even smile when he gets the scholarship. Nancy, this has nothing to do with his upbringing or his family. I can say that fairly confidently, even without knowing them. This type of disorder is what we call psychobiological, meaning, to break it down, there's something wrong with his brain. If you did a brain scan, you would probably see that there's a quieting in the part of the brain that's responsible for empathy. You might even see like a Koberger syndrome of bullying other people and wanting to be in a one-up position.
Okay, no. I'm not going to let you go down the Aaron Hernandez route where the defense claimed he murdered so many people because there was something wrong with his brain when he functioned completely normally and excelled, was a multimillionaire, blew it. No.
But Nancy,
that is not going to be a defense.
This guy was not functioning normally. He was on top of that building sweating, depositing all this DNA. In the text, we read that he wants to take the secret with him till old age. So he actually thinks he's going to get away with this.
But that says to me, Randolph Rice, the roommate was there when Robinson was engraving the bullets. Hello, accomplice, co-defendant.
The problem, Nancy, they need that roommate in their case because that roommate is so important to connecting the Kirk killer, the Kirk shooter, to those text messages. They need to keep that roommate, that love interest, happy. They need to keep them close because that's going to be probably one of their first witnesses. So I hear what you're saying.
Randolph, the two are not mutually exclusive. You can get his testimony and charge him as an accomplice to murder at the same time. In fact, let me guess, does your wife do all the cooking in the home? Have you ever heard of meat tenderizer? I would let the roommate have a few months behind bars to see if that jogs his recollection. So he could be a co-defendant and a witness at the same time. What about that? Thought?
He can, but remember, you've got to put this in front of a jury, and how does the jury see that? Because if, under your scenario, if you put him in jail and all of a sudden the defense attorney says, hey, you've been sitting in jail, the prosecutor put you there, so you feel like you're forced to tell this story, that doesn't look good in front of the jury.
No. You can argue that till you're blue in the face, Randolph Rice. The fact that he would be arrested as a co-defendant, and again, everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. That said, of course, a co-defendant goes to jail. That's not unique. That said, what do you make of that text? My original question before you went off with your pity party about the roommate going to jail. That shows me that he was there, the roommate was there, and would recall the defendant engraving bullets. And don't you imagine you would go, hi, Tyler Robinson, why are you engraving bullets? I would. So are you telling me now he had no idea what was happening?
No, I think you're right. He did have a knowledge of what was going on, and I think that there's a potential that the roommate gets charged, and you're exactly right on that. I'm looking at it from an optical perspective, but if you wanted to charge the roommate, I think you certainly have that ability to charge them with knowing what was going on beforehand. The problem becomes, can you charge them what happened after? And then the text messages, that becomes another sort of sticky situation.
What is he thinking, Dr. Bethany Marshall? And did you notice this is a recrew of all of the texts the alleged shooter sends to the roommate. If you notice, roommate's not answering. He's like, what? But the guy's worried about losing grandpa's gun?
Nancy, I'd love to talk about the idea that he thinks that what's on the bullets are a meme. A meme is a joke, so he's already minimizing the severity of the alleged crime. A meme is something that goes viral and everybody sees it. So there's this fantasy of being famous, like being some kind of a hero. The reference to the bulge, I take all of this seriously. None of it is a joke. The bulge is getting an erection while you are shooting somebody. If he were my patient, I would ask him, what is sexually exciting about shooting somebody and whizzing the bullet over a crowd of family and children? Is it that sadism is exciting? Having power over people is exciting? I'd want to try to get to the root of that to understand this guy's mind.